Today's video is to help talk about transferring just a little bit. Now, I've had transfer boards, but I realized part of the number one obstacle of transferring, now I'm not talking about different levels and strength levels and arm function, but for me as a paraplegic, the number one obstacle for me with transfers is overcoming my head. Because the reality is, I can do a transfer board and I can bridge this gap and I can slide across it. Or I can work on strengthening my arms to make my upper body strong enough, and that is the number one thing you have to do. If your arms aren't strong enough, you're not going to be able to get any of your body lifted to get up. But I always try to start a transfer by coming at an angle as close as I can to this chair, and there's a reason why I do this. Because I want to bridge that gap, because I don't want to fall in a hole. So the first thing I do is I get out on the edge of my chair. And yes, it's hard to scoot, but use leverage. Get yourself up. Get to the edge of your chair. Now, by the time I get to the edge of the chair, I've only really got about that much between my rear end and that chair. Number one, it's going to be very hard to fall through that crack because my rear end is bigger than that. Number two, the next thing we're afraid of is falling out because our legs don't catch us. So you want to make sure that you don't land up on your nose. So I always get a good hand held here and get up as close as I can to this seat. And you're going to be hanging on for your balance because we all know when we get on the edge of our chairs, our balance is awful. So you're hanging on, find a good thing. And the next thing is, now how do I get over, right? So this is where arm strength, pushing off your hands, and getting your head down. The higher my head is, the more weight that is all coming down and sitting on my bottom. The lower my head is, hanging on, the lighter my bottom's going to get because it's going to move up in the air more. So I want to get a transfer, get as close to this seat as I can. You can see my left knee is actually touching this chair. I want to hang on here. Make sure your brakes are on. I got a good grip here. I'm going to put my head down, and in one move, my head's down, my bottom's going up more in the air as I'm pushing with this hand. Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now, obviously, I'm lower, so getting back into this chair is going to be harder than getting into the lower chair. But it's the same principle. Line it up real good where you feel like you're pretty good. Get yourself as far out on the edge as you can, because now we're only bridging this far. It really isn't that bad. I'm not trying to jump this far, because I can't do that. Just enough that I can get it from here to here when I go up. Once I get here, then I can reposition on here. Same thing, just backwards. Make sure if your feet are way tucked under, you're going to tip out. Don't do that. If they're way out here, you're not going to get the right momentum. So placement of feet is good. Get your feet where you get a nice pivot point. Our skeletal system's here, whether our muscles are or not. The skeleton's there. Use it to your advantage. Hang on to your chair. Hang on here. This time, I'm going to be pushing off my left arm because I need to go that way. So same thing. 1, 2, 3. Now that's a harder transfer because it's lower. But once I'm here, then just get yourself maneuver back in your chair. Voila. And you can practice on different surfaces. But if you can do it in something soft, you'll be fine going on to something harder. Softer is always harder. So, practice those transfers. Place your feet. Put your head down. Get as close as you can at an angle. And get over the fear in your head. That's the biggest obstacle. Thanks.